Good member from the 6th District, Representative Volz, to move adoption of the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Amendment 1153.
It has been moved and seconded that Amendment 1153 be adopted. Remarks. Representative Volz.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment intent is to preserve and strengthen women and girls sports in Washington State. The science is settled. There are significant differences between males and females, and these differences manifest themselves as early as like 7 or 8 years old, where men have more muscle mass. Men are taller, men are stronger, men are faster, and that's just a settled biological scientific fact. In fact, by the age of 18, men are 5 to 6 inches taller, 30 to 40 pounds heavier, and have 10 to 15% more muscle mass. In sports, I don't know if you played sports, I played some sports, that's a very significant difference. And in fact, if you look at male sports and women's sports, such as wrestling, the martial arts, boxing, they put weight classifications. Professional boxing, for example, or college wrestling, or high school wrestling, where you have these trained athletes, men fighting each other, young athletes wrestling each other, boxing each other. They put these weight classifications in, not to protect the smaller athlete, but or not to protect the larger athlete, but to protect the smaller athlete. And that's just a common sense, fact-based approach. Also, when we look at the United States military, they have 2 separate standards, one for male, one for female, to acknowledge the fact that men are stronger and faster, have more muscle mass, are taller. So in the Army and all the military branches, they have 2 separate tests. And so I think when we look at this, it is to protect young girls, young ladies, and women in sports in the state of Washington. The international organizations are moving away from trans women in women's sports, and same with nationally. The national trend is moving away from that. So I think by allowing it in Washington State, in addition to the number of lawsuits that are already emerging from our state and other states on this very issue, it also precludes a lot of young ladies and women from advancing to the next level. Maybe they lose out on a scholarship option. Maybe they lose out on national recognition. Maybe they lose out on international opportunity. So I think hopefully you can join me in a yes vote to preserving women's and young ladies sports in Washington State. Thank you.